Distinguished guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and privilege to be integral part of this interesting and exciting session. I come from this place, so I have reasons to be integral part of this event. It motivates me every time when somebody invites me to come to India, especially Chennai. I have the privilege of being with my family, my mother, of course my wife and daughters are living with me in the Gulf. Thanks for the invitation. When Mr. Moran has asked me to be integral part of this important TiECON event, he was suggesting a substance, opportunities in the Gulf. I redefined a bit and I said I should talk about the impact of changing digital ecosystems on business models. The concept is clear. I had a major interface with the International Monetary Fund meeting last month. The whole world is now questioning the wisdom in terms of sustainability. The global growth is contingent on what sort of technology adoptions at a government level, corporate level, individual level, we all converge in substance that will decide your destiny. So it's not a core econometrics which can define your performance. The digital ecosystem is going to have direct impact on the changing world, global sustainability. And that is precisely the reason why I thought it's appropriate to bring it across. What sort of global agenda we have, and what sort of convergence we need to have technology adoption in it, and ensuring it reaches out for convenience, reaches out for operational efficiency at a G2G level. And again, with the financial inclusion, the world recognizes it is changing on account of globalization. It is changing on account of deregulation. It is changing on account of re-regulation now. And technology plays a big role. And consumerism is going to dictate the rest of the momentum. Financial economies are still reeling under pressure. Real economies are redefining scope and performance. Communism is changing. Capitalism is alternating its form and substance. Mixed economies like India is a telling story for us to recognize financial inclusion. We are a real showcase. Forget about the negative comments coming on account of demonetization. There's less choice for us than to recognize we need to converge in terms of capitalist society. If you look at the economic momentum in the world, the global growth is said to be around 3.5 to 3.6% for next year. We had economists, we had the banking fraternity, we have politicians converging on one substance. We have to eradicate extreme poverty. We have to bring in gender equality. We need to recognize universal education, universal health care is not an option. We also have to ensure global warming and climate change is going to reset in significant changes in your economics, not necessarily economics. Economics, again, convergence of ecology and economics has to have a telling story. There are contentious issues in terms of trade, investments, banking and finance world over. We recognize global trade is not free anymore. America has set its own agenda with the new American administration under President Trump, has reset the global agenda. They are pulled out of Trans-Pacific Partnership. They are questioning the wisdom in terms of global warming and climate change. They are questioning the free trade practices hitherto WTO was advocating. Extraordinary set of changes extraordinary set of agenda in the global map. We have issues in real reorganization, transformations in the global makeup, functional makeup. How do you ensure sustainability in the midst of all? How do you ensure food security for everyone? How do you ensure poverty alleviation? How do we make sure we have operational efficiency for global growth? That's the question. That is precisely the reason why we came out with digital development agenda. That's an option. That's a clear option for us to recognize. World at large has to converge on one thing. That is, the digital ecosystem is converging. The impact of the digital ecosystems and the allied impact on the econometrics needs to be recognized by one and all. It means you have to build partnership, global partnership, and that's the need of the hour. And that is precisely the reason why I thought it's appropriate to bring in impact of changing digital ecosystems on your business model. It could be at a government level, it could be at your corporate level, it could be a big entrepreneur, it could be a small entrepreneur, it could be like a public-private partnership model. It's all getting changed. We recognize this change. If you don't change, you'll be forced to change. Innovate or perish, the famous saying goes. World at large is recognizing convergence is not an option with the digital ecosystems. That's the emphasis. It means you have to build this partnership, rebuild this partnership, redefine the business model. That is precisely the reason why the session is important. It's not globalization anymore. It is anti-globalization. If I have to rephrase it, I can say it is economic nationalization. And that's the changing dynamics. If America could print money and improve the money supply, inflate the wall, and transcend borders, hard money, and world over, financial markets have become gambling grounds. Their problem is getting solved now. Accommodative monetary policy is a reflection of their inflation. Accommodative monetary policy is a reflection of their housing market recoveries. Accommodative monetary policy is a reflection of their stock market extraordinary momentum. Trillions of dollars have been printed and money supply has completely inflating the wall. If America can print money, Bank of England can print money, European Central Bank can print money, Japan up to 2012, which was technically a recession, has to come out with Abenomics, and they printed money and they started supplying more money into the markets. Their currency was weakened and export-driven economies were sustaining its credibility for their economic momentum. All these are global governance issues. Unless you have universal standard in terms of accounting, valuation, securitization, you set universal standard to have core governance, integrity, and governance to total respects with a universal framework. You are not going to sustain this global growth. Currency is a barometer of an economy. If you start artificially administering it, you are manipulating it. America can say China is manipulating. America did the same. Printing money, inflating the wall is not a permanent solution. They stopped. They recognized in 2015, this is the time. America is working. This is the time they can raise the interest rate. They have done it. Accommodative monetary policy was put to rest and they started engaging in clearly inflating. So the interest rate has to go up 3 times in the last 1 year plus. They have raised the interest rate. There's the change in the Fed governorship. Janet Yellen, she's leaving in February, and that could be changes again. The reason why I say this all for you to understand, economic momentum is not sustainable unless you understand the changing dynamics in the world. It's not simple trade. How this trade is going to happen when America is stopping the free trade? It's not a criticism, mind you. President Trump has got his economic nationalization agenda, as I rephrased it. That's his political agenda. If you can rescind Trans-Pacific Partnership, if you can rescind North American trade practices, again, Canada is I was in Toronto last month for the CIBOS, apart from IMF. I saw the reflection in the Canadian government. They're going from plan A to plan B. The reason why you should know is it is not business as usual in the rest of the world. That's precisely the reason you have seen the reflection in the advanced economies. Still, 2%. That's the maximum. UK, with Brexit referendum, they have to redefine the complete trade negotiations. They have to redefine the trade practices. They have to bilateral trades for multilateral trading with the EU. At one shot, they have to negotiate in every country. And that's the dictum people have given. People power at the end of the day. And that has to be enforced. There are changing governments. Snapshot elections recently has produced so much instability. They are going to perform between 1.7% to 1.9%, possibly. Gone are the days when they were doing over 2%. Recently, as good as last week, there was an interest rate hike in UK as well. European Union, which is defined where the monetary policy is centralized, where the fiscal policy is decentralized, they are going through extraordinary set of changes as well. They are trying to inflate, which is working. They're still printing money. They're not going to stop the quantitative easing, as economists and bankers we say. So essentially, the world at large is grossly underperforming as far as advanced economies. Japan, which was, as I said, technically under recessions, now is an extraordinary winner on account of Abenomics since 2012. They should be reporting between 1.5 to 1.7%. That was not expected at all. Because they got into Abenomics, it's working. The currency again, it gets weakened, and we have seen the reflection in their exports. When it comes to emerging markets, you have a different reflections between 4.6 to 4.7%, or possibly even 4.9% is the incremental growth we are going to have in terms of economic momentum. It includes countries like India, which last quarter was as a misnomer. Don't underestimate India's market liberalization principle. Don't underestimate the digitization, financial inclusion principles. It's absolutely absurd when I see politicians are exchanging words for no reason. India is a showcase in the rest of the world. This century belongs to India, make no mistakes. This century has to be driven by Indians. You have to recognize this. Extraordinary sort of momentum, where else you will get the momentum in terms of demographic dynamics. Where else you will see the incremental investments are coming only to India at an exponential pace. Where else you have seen the market liberalization is improving the investment climate. Where else you will have over 6.5, 6.7%. It's not an ordinary performance by any means, but our capacity to lift for 8 to 9% is very much there once you have financial inclusion or demonetization fully implemented. Once a single bullet solution, GST, comes to terms in a unified form and substance, India will be marching ahead like fire, rapid acceleration will take place. But how much we need to recognize these policies are converging with the rest of the world. Today, if you have to eliminate extreme poverty in India, you have to have financial inclusion. You have to make sure a man in the ordinary street, in downtrodden fellow, has to have his accounts. His social security has to ensure. He has to get everything into the bookkeeping. Today, the parallel economy is so wild. On November 7th or 8th last year, when demonetization was pronounced, the world at large was recognizing within India, I saw so much commotion. You feel sorry inside. You know, over 250 to 275 million people have been in the bracket of financial inclusion. And the Prime Minister then what's wrong with it? Everyone has to be in the banking system. That's financial inclusion. You have to lift the common man. It's not the widening gap between haves and have-nots. You have to bring in everyone per capita is moving in the right direction. That's precisely the reason why demonetization was introduced. Our investment climate was so bureaucratic. Our competitive index is not a solution to attract inward investments. So what's wrong in introducing a silver bullet solutions, collapsing all these multifarious taxes and bring in one single tax, GST? There has to be execution refinement. There has to be changing accounting. There has to be center-state relationships, needs governance in terms of reorganizations, in terms of recurring revenues. Those are elementaries. Those are rituals. Those are rudiments. You shouldn't question the wisdom of a major concept like making simplifications into the overall economic agenda. And that's a beautiful scheme. So, what's happening in India is healthy. What's happening in terms of convergence with the global governance is what India is reflecting in its policy pursuit in terms of practice. And that's what the confidence we have. And today it's 6.7%, it will reach 7.4% next year. I'm not saying, IMF is saying. IMF has vindicated this is the right direction. There are independent analysts saying this is the right direction. Rating agencies saying the same, then what's wrong with it? China, possibly, a socialistic regime with a single party agenda, could do anything and everything. And they could sustain over 30 years over 9% growth. What's wrong with India? Everything is right with India. That's what we need to understand. Our political system has to converge. We have over 2,000 parties in India. How can you converge? Question yourself. You have to recognize the changing face of the world. We can be formidable. We can be an economic powerhouse. We can be a force to reckon with in the United Nations, IMF, World Bank, Security Council, name it. India is recognizing, India is lifting its positions with the right brand equity. And that's the change. That's what we need to articulate. So what has it got to do with digital ecosystems? It has got everything to do with it. The change which you are seeing in terms of regression, in terms of economic momentum downward in India is not a permanent change. It's a temporary price you pay for a long-term prosperity. There's an Oriental saying always, when you look at short term, you cultivate flowers. When you look at medium term, you cultivate trees. When you look at long term, you build humanity, eternity. And that's what India should do and will do. That's what the vision of the current government has to see, objectively. No political intention intended. The practical fact is to recognize convergence and make it more competitive. It means digital inclusion is a must. Recognizing these changes are a must. It is not global economics alone in tatters. India itself is not going to achieve its economic momentum. India cannot sustain its econometrics if you don't converge in terms of global warming and climate change. That's why, out of my multiple PhDs, one PhD is converging on green bank. It was recognized by Sri University here. I said, if you look at the global makeup, if we produce over 50 to 60 trillion as global economics every year, a portion of the risk-weighted capital, if you allocate in every institution, if it is a financial institution, all the more better, risk-weighted capital, at least based on your carbon emissions, you send a portion to a corpus and lend or invest with those principles for sustainability. Projects which are water management, waste management, it could be anything, carbon reduction, creating a carbon neutral society, India can sustain. And that is precisely the reason why COP21 was a big success. Solar Council was pronounced. And I personally believe that's the way to go forward. If you look at the underlying economic fundamentals, and we have serious challenges in terms of carbon emissions. Out of the global carbon emission, 29% belongs to China, 15% belongs to US, 10% belongs to EU, 7.2% belongs to India. That's the level of, you will pull down your own economic momentum if you're not recognizing there's a serious issue in terms of carbon emissions. We have to create carbon neutral society. Solar is an option, wind is an option, biofuel is an option, biomass is an option. So the extraordinary set of momentum is happening. India is converging in global terms. And that's what universal reflection, individual parties' opinions apart. When it comes to the overall digital agenda, the changes which we are seeing today is reflective of our own economic momentum. Artificial intelligence. Look at the changes which are happening in terms of artificial intelligence. I walk into many banks around the world. Right from America to Australia, I operate in 17 countries. But as time and again, I walk into global banking. When I look at it, artificial intelligence is already actions in terms of your customer convenience. And you have the reflection in terms of digital convergence, which is going to redefine your business model, not only in terms of banking, but in every form of industry you belong to. And we have seen the reflection in terms of blockchain. It's a distributed architecture which is going to redefine your business mechanism. No more international trade will be confined to uniform code of accounting where you need local banks to support. It's a complete sea of change in terms of export and import. Your remittance will get redefined. That's what the change we are seeing in the way forward. And if you want to administer additional technology advantage to AI you want to implant in your system, you can do it as well. It's coming up. Neuralink solutions are available world over. You can change. You can clone a human today with the additional advantage with artificial intelligence. So robotics are going to take a bigger role in terms of replacing humans. Blockchain is going to play a big role. Artificial intelligence is going to play a big role. So what's your business model today? It's conventional wisdom. Unless you redefine and adopt these changes, you don't have a business for sustainable careers. And that's what the realization we have to come to terms. That is precisely the reason why I said not only economics, not only economics, convergence of digital ecosystems into your economy to start with. That's why I was articulating why financial inclusion was a solution. If you don't have financial inclusions, the government cannot transfer the gross welfare to the mass. That is precisely the modeling India has envisaged since 3 years. It's an extraordinary drive. We should respect that. Then articulating the same solutions into your corporate momentum. Look at the corporate changes in the world. Last week I was in London addressing the Global Sustainability Conference. Look at the changes in terms of governance which we need. Transparency is a better perspective always. Once the digital ecosystems dominate, discretionary elements are eliminated, everything is automated. The process will get redefined, the procedures will get redefined, your policies at your fingertips. You have a bigger agenda to be transparent and efficiency is given. That's the kind of change. Otherwise, you have seen reflection, not only in Tata's, not only in Infosys, what we have seen, quality shareholders can change the board and the management. We have seen reflection around the world. It is in Kobe Steel, in Japan, overnight. Volkswagen, around the world, right from Germany. And you have Gupta family in South Africa. That is the transparency in terms of governance. So digital ecosystems can bring you the transparency, bring you the succession plan, bring you the policy procedures, bring you the framework, enterprise integrations, bring you the succession plan to make sure everything is resilient which you built in on account of digital opportunities. It's an opportunity than a challenge. While challenges can be mapped and you can relish these challenges into business process modeling, while global level also has to change. Countries level, continent level, these kind of changes happen. And that's why Euro, as a currency, while I said it's by birth it's a deformity. Because while monetary policy is centralized, fiscal policy is decentralized, very heterogeneous in terms of alignment between monetary and fiscal policy, that's not going to stimulate convergence. Monetary treaty, which was originally defined, has been completely knocked out. You have so much problems. But they are now converging on one thing, integrating to G to G, government to government. And that's going to reignite their momentum. And that's what precisely the IMF is saying, that global economic agenda is getting to different development through digital advantage. The countries who are embracing this digital agenda will have fast track in terms of overall economic movement. Countries who are not doing it will have serious consequences in terms of overall productivity and performance. And that is what we need to understand. That's the tip of the iceberg. So how do I explain all these things to you? I thought it's appropriate to show you some of the video clips. It's a big file that was told by Moran. I don't know how many will have this remote with me. Yes, yeah. Can you pass on the remote to me? Let me run through the slides for you. It's important that you watch the clips. I don't know how much time I have. I want to stick to the timelines. I have another 15, 20 minutes. Okay. So, I said, for the sake of recognizing the challenge, the present is what I explained. The future I just gave a tip of the icebergs, but let's run through some of the slides. Because keeping your attention on econometrics, or even for the matter digital. Only by talking it will not help them. So let me converge in substance what exactly around the world is happening. And on top of it, as I said, if you have your specific agenda in terms of economic momentum, you can reduce the gross debt for advanced economies. You can have more inward investments and investment in infrastructure for emerging markets like India. So you have bigger opportunity to redefine for low-income countries. If you have financial inclusions, have more tax revenues, and again, reinvent your infrastructure. Jobs can be created, growth can be applied in logical terms. I started at 11:25, so I have around, I'll finish it by 12:15. Yeah, yes. So when you look at the changing business and technology trends, we also have to recognize, as a practitioner I've seen extraordinary set of changes in terms of banking. We have to recognize technology convergence is not an option. Your corporate banking, retail banking, treasury, investments, internationals, everything is going through sea of changes. Conventional wisdom is dead. That's why at a government to government level, they're creating a fintech. We have extraordinary set of changes, even in the Gulf states where I come from. While I said I operate in 17 countries, my main base is in Doha, which is going through set of a political blockade from the Arab world. The neighbors have one fine morning on 5th of June, they close. Qatar is a country of great substance and substantial compliance, highest per capita in the world, socially very productive. You have world-class education, Scarnham, Texas A&M, Virginia Common, Georgetown, Carnegie Mellon. My two daughters are from Carnegie Mellon. And you have political progressions, Security Council presidency, name it, and the world, United Nations General Assembly, Qatar. So that's the kind of eminence it has achieved. And economic progressions, highest per capita, as I said, nearly $85,000 to $90,000. Oil, gas, and petrochemicals. India itself is importing nearly 9 to 10 million metric ton of LNG. Oil, gas, petrochemicals. This is what we export. Largest fertilizer plant. Huge industrial estates. Now, it so happened, it has differentiated policies. I was in CNN day for yesterday in London. I said this, the reason why this blockade came, you can watch it in the web. Social justice, freedom, functional democracy. The reason why I'm saying this is the kind of changes we have gone through and technology how enabled is to be recognized. Qatar from 1995, they started setting up a new momentum. They said everything is transparent, we'll build human rights, we will ensure you have, functional democracy articulated as a small country with 300,000 people. It is demographic dynamics. If you look at it, it's only expatriates drive the force. And I, being an Indian, privileged to run an Arab bank and Qatari bank. That itself shows how much trust they have in Indians. Now, the opportunities, Indians stood by hard work, commitment, honesty, integrity. Mind you, we are a global force today to recognize. We are second to none. We also have to understand this kind of differentiation doesn't gel. Whereas you will find a living monarch giving the reins after 15 years to his son and training 10 years properly, and principle of succession was practiced. In corporate, we see failures. That was all differentiated, and we had a blockade. The only way we could come out of it is to use complete digital support and make it happen. The first few days we had so much. So a roadblock was from Saudi Arabia, where we used to import essentials, was put to rest. So we have to import everything overnight. Nothing was a bigger challenge. Plan A to Plan B, we converted in 2 days' time. Over. A country which has got huge reserves, twice the GDP is the reserves. The sovereign funds were $340 billion. Central bank is sitting at 45 billion cash plus gold. So it was easy for us to recognize that we faced sort out these operational logistics, rest of all incident. But it was so formidable. It has all happened on account of hacking. Mind you, the intrusion was to get into the Qatar national website and put up wrong information as if the living monarch, rather, the current ruler, is questioning the other GCC. And that was taken as a pretext to have this blockade. Digital can play good and bad roles. Social media was way out to put the facts into fictions into facts. All sort of confusions we had. I'm on the go since June 5th around the world, from Australia to America, in global channels, BBC to CNN, to showcase, listen, this is the truth. I don't belong to Qatar nationality, but I have to tell the facts as a practicing banker. So digital ecosystems can do good and bad, but we have to set it right, and that is precisely the change we are seeing. And we have to change the business model. The complete business models I have branches in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's closed in terms of technically, but operationally it is still holding good. I have over 3 billion to reckon. I will. So the issue is digital ecosystems can cause positive and negative values. Innovations in banking in recent days has helped us to stimulate back and track. And that's the change we are seeing. It's not only the banking side, every single industry is going through extraordinary set of changes. You have to redefine your business model based on the configurations which you interface. So there's a huge transformation. That's what the message you have to. It's not just simple management. You have to recognize the world is changing. Unless you transform your business model, you can't sustain your credibility. You will tend to lose your market share. You tend to lose your revenue streams. Your costs will outweigh. And that is precisely the reason why you should converge. Why fintech is coming up? Because pay and use, that's it. That's the message. I told even the central bank governor, I said, why should I cope up with the changes which are happening? I was telling more a few minutes before. Why should I go and invent every technology possible? Just because my competition is doing the Citibank or Standard Chartered. Why can't we get together as financial technology companies managed by the regulators, and I'll pay as and when I use these technologies. The competitive value offering is your innovations and in terms of product offerings, and how you bundle it, how you market it, how you build the brand equity, how your balance sheet looks in terms of brand equity, your rating agencies, not in terms of core data processing or digital support. And that's the kind of change we are seeing. Now, watch the next one, very interesting, fourth industrial revolutions. Resourceful. Planet has got enough enduring values, but we have to change everything into smart. That's why many of the governments around the world are converging on smart cities and empowering customers. Customers are going to customize his product, whichever be the industry you belong to. So digital ecosystems can enable you to do that. Disruptions which we are seeing now in the global makeup is real. These changes are going to continuously engaging in redefining your business model, and empowering at a personal level is going to articulate. So we have seen the changes in terms of fintechs, Internet of Things, and we have already seen telecom companies are sourcing on biometric, artificial intelligence, your eye scans are more important, and robotics, process automations. I showed you some examples, and blockchain, as I explained. And the fintech is evolving to be a fine combination around the world, and Internet of Things is going to move up the ladder now. We have, if you look at the current numbers, we're in 6 to 6.5 billion Internet of Things today. It's going to reach 25 billion in the next 3 years. It's going to be 100 billion. It can create, in terms of sensors, over a trillion in the next 7 to 8 years. That means everything is going to be dominated by Internet of Things. And I'm not going to show the view of time. I'm not going to show the details of it. And most of the questions I've answered. I'm not going to take extra questions now for on a one-off time, because it is important that you have visual presentations. Then if you have questions, you can take me across. Maybe 5-10 minutes I can spare time. I have another meeting at 1 o'clock outside, so I'm stepping out the next 15 minutes. So any questions you have on the overall impact, we can look at it. These are the scenarios. The child born with the message they give. It's a beautiful ad I saw. I thought it's appropriate to bring. The umbilical cord is being cut by the digital systems, and it becomes completely artificially insulating yourself with technology, and your car has got its own identity. And Questions you want me to take? Okay, let me finish it. Okay. You have biometric, comes in financial services. You have, again, as I said, you can artificially, you can administer yourself with intelligence. Neuralink can help you. Banking is completely changed. Robotic is going to do your jobs. You have job creation is a bigger challenge world over. See, everything will be done. There are enough reasons to believe it can support anything and everything. So you have robotics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and adoption is mainly on the
Every organization has various business functions, and each function has
This is another classic story, how the knowledge process outsourcing and business process outsourcing can be integrated into your back-end into your mechanisms through artificial intelligence, and everything can be converged. Your blockchain, robotics, and AI. If these converge, you will have a different business model. And somebody was asking me about cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is not issued by any government or any authentic source. It is a first of its kind. There are thousands of millions of Bitcoins are going to come. And we know many of the regulators are not, and understand digital currency is going to redefine the complete functional makeup of everyone in the world. It's quite challenging, even for monetary policy. If you look at the banking policy, banks, regulators are struggling because most of the money which we used to do, now it's being done by technology companies or even telecom companies. Remittance can be done by telecom companies. If Apple has got more cash than the government, which in terms of functional surplus, and essentially you have network, you can do money transfer, you can create a payment gateway, you can do whatever within the community of your own network you can evolve. So some of the banks, huge revenue streams are getting challenged. So the business model needs to converge. So when I met the US Treasury last month on 11th of October, I was questioning the Treasury Secretary. I said, okay, you want to bring in anti-money laundering and combating finance and terrorism regulatory frameworks. How are you going to regulate these payment systems from technology companies or telecom companies or even bitcoins, cryptocurrencies? It's a major challenge for regulators today. So how will you bring sanity to the whole frame? Okay, we are questioning here demonetization, nonsense. But how will you unite everyone under one umbrella and have a systemic regulations? Light switch regulation has failed world over. Unless you have supervisory systems which are universal in terms of framework, the gap will be an arbitrage opportunity for everyone. So this technology disruption is real. The blockchain issues are real. So how you will go for it is a bigger challenge. And APIs again, I can go on. Application programming interface is a bigger challenge. And cashless society in Sweden is a classic example. I don't know, many of you must have visited Sweden. It's an absolutely mind-boggling. People trust financial institutions, and that's what we should do. When the government says digital inclusion, financial inclusions, trust it and go for it. Indian system is second to none. We used to, from 1969, public-private partnership model. The 2008 crisis has created no problem. Even 1997 currency crisis issue had no issues. We are making big issue for nothing. We have financial inclusion as a major agenda. Our banking systems are well regulated, and it's a fantastic system, public-private partnership, nationalization, and we should get on with the economic agenda instead of political agenda. Cashless economy is going to be ultimate for us to have corruption-free governance for India. India needs sanity. We have so much heritage, culture, civilization. We are proud to be Indians, but we also have to come to terms with realities. And that's what the makeup is all about. And I'm proud to say we should have a good experience around the world in terms of social accounting and responsibility. And that's the bigger picture as such. You want me to take 2 questions to say?
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Dr.Seetharaman. Can we have a huge round of applause for our session speaker?